Lions didn't only have players that left. They are still adding players, and I think there's at least a couple that are worth talking about, and I think Lions fans really should be excited about. So I think since we just start talking about Darius, like actually before we move on, you made a comment about your brother, if he's listening.
Yeah.
If he's not listening, that's a massive problem. I wanted to bring that up last night. This was 2 segments ago.
Okay.
And I wanted to say, if he's not listening, that's a big problem. You got to get that fixed.
So he
make sure he's listening.
He needs to text me this week then.
Would he call in next time we talk baseball?
I think absolutely. I think he would. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Next time he's home, even he could probably jump on.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that.
Baseball talk.
Yes.
But he needs to text me if he's listening to this, and then we'll know.
That's his test.
That's the test.
Perfect. He's not doing anything. They're in lockdown.
Exactly.
All right. So the one that I think is worth really digging into first is from the Atlanta Falcons. Lions signed cornerback Desmond Trufant. He signed a 2-year contract worth $21 million, including a $14 million guaranteed. So, I mean, 21, what is that, $10.5 million? Look at that math. First try.
Yeah, first try.
First try I did that. I didn't even have that written down. You know I didn't because you're looking at my notes. So he's known as a consistent corner, but was limited to only 9 games last season due to a toe and forearm injury, which I kind of look at that and it's not a considering, like those aren't type of injuries that are nagging and something to be worried about. So that's really nice. But he did have 4 interceptions in those 9 games, which I think is really good. Trufant turns 30 later this year. He's actually a tad older than Slay. There is a concern about a production dip, especially when you compare him like next to Slay. I think I would say Slay's more of a proven corner to be, more in the top 5. Like if you have a top 10 list, if you will, Slay would definitely be ahead of him.
Yeah.
But I personally love the signing.
Trufant's a name, though. I mean,
it is.
He's known around the league. He's produced for a long time.
Yeah. With Slay gone, I think it's the absolute perfect signing for much cheaper than what we'd have paid Slay. I think that's going to come up a little bit here as we go on. I mean, I would have loved to see them together. I think that would be amazing because I think they are pretty close to the same talent level, if you will. Like I said, Slay's better, but the drop-off, I think, is kind of where I'm getting at. The drop-off is not nearly as drastic.
With the salary difference, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're at this point, you need to compare what they're going to give you in the end compared to what they're making right now. And there's no way that you could justify paying Darius Slay that amount of money when you could get a guy like Desmond Trufant for $10.5 million a year.
Yeah, so basically you're paying, let's just make it even $6 million less than what you would have been paying Slay if you would have signed him to the same deal that he did with the Eagles. And like we mentioned here, you're losing, in a way, I think Slay could be labeled as an addition by subtraction, in a way, because of the stories that are coming out and the issues that he was causing, that he admitted he was causing in a way. So,
right.
Look, I don't know a ton about this guy. I'm not going to pretend I'm a cornerback expert across the league, but it sounds like this isn't. He's no slouch of a player, and I think that's very important and very exciting for the Lions because look, everybody was kind of dreaming the Okudah Slay, tandem, if you will, and then you have Warrior and Justin Coleman. Like, that was exciting to people. I don't think that, I mean, say you still go with Okudah at 5 or 3 or wherever we end up. If we can get Okudah at a reasonable draft pick, man,
it's still a solid.
It still is a solid
backfield.
Tandem. Yeah, backfield. Not to mention a couple more names that we're going to bring up later on. I really like this signing. I think it's a very underrated signing.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think when they go hand in hand, it was tough because you couldn't even get excited about it because honestly, as soon as it came out that Trufant was getting signed, Slay tweeted. So this is kind of funny. Slay tweeted at him. He goes, "Hey, congrats to my boy for signing. Hopefully, this speeds up my ticket out."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like we had zero time, and then the next day he was traded. So we had zero time to be excited about this signing because of the story of Slay. That kind of just was a dark cloud over the signing. Do not sleep on this signing. I want to tell Lions fans.
I think if you just look at the whole thing, the addition by subtraction, kind of what you said, if you look at, so we lost Slay. My initial reaction was that is not nearly enough. But we lose Slay. We don't have to pay him $16 million. The addition of Desmond Trufant plus the 3rd and the 5th round picks, I'm considering this. The Lions are on top after all is said and done.
I agree.
I think they got the better end of this. They're not having to pay the most amount of money. We're not a good enough team to pay a cornerback one player more than any other player at his position. We're not good enough to do that.
Yep, I agree.
So the only position you could justify that is maybe a quarterback, and we're not even doing that with Stafford right now. We're not even close anymore with Stafford.
Yeah.
So let's not pretend we can do it with Slay. So getting Trufant, the signing, I agree with you. I think it's just a really big signing for the organization. It still has that veteran guy who has more winning experience than Slay in the end too, and maybe can help these young guys come, farther along more than Slay would have. I'm not really sure about this guy either.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's like a good mentor, kind of a veteran, but it doesn't matter. He's still filling that gap or that need that Slay left. And we're not having the biggest drop off, and we still can go out and get a young stud and get a good backfield going.
Yeah, if it wasn't for only playing 9 games last season and his injuries, I think he would have gotten more of a long-term, a lot more money than what he did. I mean, 2 years tells me he's looking for at least one more contract. Otherwise, he would have gone 4 and been okay with this being his last, or even 3 potentially. But like 2, it's like, hey, I want to show that I still have something, and then get a big payday for 1 or 2 years again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. The other thing to bring up with this too is, I mean, you said it, the toe and the forearm injury, not the most concerning injuries.
They're not
for,
nagging
for
injuries.
Cornerback.
Yeah.
Darius Slay, let's not forget that he had a hamstring injury going on the whole season last year.
And the year before,
he had issues with his hamstring more than once.
Yeah.
Soft tissue, hamstring. We know how delicate that kind of an injury is in future injuries. I wouldn't be the most surprised if Slay ends up having to sit out a whole bunch of games the next few years because of a hamstring thing.
Yep. No, that's a really good point that we didn't bring up. So, I think with this type of money, so $21 million seems like an awful lot, $14 million guaranteed, but like when you compare it to Slay, so that look,
that's what you have to do.
Yeah, you have to compare it to Slay. Talent wise, he's probably not there. Money wise, he's not there. So it's like, if you meet in the middle, who's going to come out on top? I really like it. I think the reward potential is much bigger than the risk of this money, especially when the Lions still have a lot of cap space. It's not crippling them by any means. So I really am excited about it.
What would you say Trufant's talent is compared to Slay's, like percentage-wise? Would you say he's like an 80% player or 90% player?
I'm not an expert on cornerbacks. I don't think Slay's necessarily a top 5. I would put him probably between 5 and 7. Maybe he might reach 4. I'm just kind of throwing numbers out. That's where I guess he's at. Based on what I know of Trufant, I would guess he's more around, 12 to 15, top corner in the league.
Yeah.
So I don't think that drop off talent wise is nearly as drastic for the money that you're going to bring up.
Look,
here.
I just calculated it out. Desmond Trufant will be making 63% of the salary compared to Slay.
Whoa.
That's only per year basis. So he has a 2-year contract compared to Slay's. What, 3?
3-year extension. So I think it's a total of 4 years.
Total of 4 years.
Because he had 1 year left.
Right.
Yeah.
So is Desmond Trufant 64% of the player, 64 rounded up, 64% of the player as Slay, production-wise on the field?
There's no question in my mind.
That seems so low.
Yeah, it really does. Wow.
So if you put it in those terms, I think we can feel good about the trade. I guess it's not even the trade-off between Slay and Trufant, and then adding the picks on top of it. That's why I feel good about this.
Yeah, and look, we're not saying that a third-round pick is going to be, or third and fifth-round pick is going to be like
game-changing,
a difference maker by any means. But, I mean, quantity can be turned into quality.
Yeah.
And I think and we will get into that a little bit later as well. Defensive tackle from the Patriots, Danny Shelton, signed a 2-year contract worth $8 million with the Lions. So he's a 345-pound nose tackle, defensive tackle, if you will. He was once a top college prospect who was selected 12th overall by the Browns in 2015. A free agent last year, Shelton opted to re-sign with the Patriots on a one-year prove-it deal. It was a humbling decision, but he proved it, setting career highs in tackles with 61 combined and 3 sacks. 345 pounds.
It's a big dude.
Just clogging that hole, dude. Like, I'm, like, again, I look at what you're losing, what you're gaining. Snacks, when he's at his best, was one of the best. This dude sounds like he can fill in what Snacks did last year,
Right.
if not a little better. And that's all that I want to see is just if you can get a little bit better at these positions, that's when you become much better.
If he could play more than 4 games, he'll be a lot better.
Yeah, because I know Snacks played in the games, but he was not playing.
He wasn't there
in the games. So I love his size.
I do too. I think this is a really good signing.
Yeah, and I love where he's at in his career. I mean, he's going into his 6th year. That's really when defensive tackles, nose guard. I don't know what the difference is, to be honest with you. Do you know what the difference is between a nose guard? Is a nose guard like on top of the center?
A nose guard, yeah. A nose guard plays like
That's
a
if you're running like a
3-4.
3-4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I did.
Or like a shifted 4-3.
Yeah,
You could do that
okay.
too, but
Alright.
but still line it up over the
But he
center.
can also,
inside guard.
line up in the center. Okay. But then he could also play tackle position. That's when these guys really become elite, if you will, because they start understanding the game, knowing their gaps better, knowing that they're not just pounding towards the ball.
Yeah, but look, we don't need him to be elite. This is a 2-year, $4 million per year contract.
Yeah.
All we need him to do is be an extra body. If we can throw as many bodies on this defensive line as possible, we can get more production out of the guys we need production from.
Mhm.
Then this allows guys to sub in and out to fill holes. If you just need him to get out there for 3rd and 2 and give some other guy who's a smaller body a
Just
rest,
take away the run.
yeah, just fill the gap, lean on somebody, do your job.
Yep. And then, I mean, I'm assuming he worked with Jamie Collins. So
There
did
you
they
go.
work good together?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it kind of linebackers, or I mean, defensive tackles and nose guards are linebackers' best friends.
Yes.
Without them in front of you, the linebackers will struggle. I feel like that's what the Lions are kind of trying to build here is like guys that they can move in and out in the defensive tackle position to benefit the linebackers.
Look, at this rate, give us 3 years, we're going to have the entire Patriots roster.
It's so
They just keep coming over. But
All
you know
right,
what?
so
They're
people
good
get
and we're
mad about
not.
that. People get mad about that. How do you feel about it? Are you okay with it?
Yeah, they're winning Super
I am
Bowls
too.
and we're not. Let's get their players and we we'll trade. We'll trade our players for your players and see how it works out.
Yeah,
I'm good for that
People
trade.
bring that up as like a negative. Well, all Lions took another Patriot, blah, blah, blah. Look,
Yeah.
no, it works.
Oh yeah, I'm
And
fist pumping.
honestly, in a show me year with Patricia and Quinn, I'm glad that they're bringing in people that they completely trust to do their job. That's the way. Every time they take a Patriot, I'm like, hey, Patricia and Quinn know that this guy knows that this guy's going to come in and do his job.
And when have we
And
taken
that's what they need to do.
And when have we taken one of these guys that and it hasn't worked out?
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you for saying that.
they're not blowing up. They're not the ones ruining the locker room.
I agree with that. And so Big Drew and Jim Costa, I love the show. I'm not gonna I'm gonna throw him under the bus.
We're gonna rip it, but yeah,
But
it's
like
good.
he always brings up Patriot signings and trades and like all these players as like negatives, and I'm like, who is the Patriot that hasn't worked out?
Yes.
No,
Thank
like,
you.
all of them have worked out and have done their job when they're in the position that they're supposed to be in. Like he brought up Justin Coleman, like, well, Justin Coleman was one of the worst corners. Yeah, when he was out of position,
He was playing
and he
outside
wasn't
line?
playing the corner,
Yes.
like the nickel corner that he was brought in to play because Slay's not doing his job, or he was injured, or a Warrior, or whoever. Like we lost him. All these guys. It's like, yeah, when he's not playing his position, that Patricia focused on him.
Look, we
Sorry.
didn't have a defensive line. There's a whole bunch of reasons why Coleman didn't produce.
Exactly.
But the more of these guys that can come in, the coaches trust him. The coaches obviously trust Danny Shelton to pay him $8 million over 2 years to do his job.
Yep.
And the more of those guys we can get, I am completely okay with it. Let's turn over our whole roster into the Patriots and see what happens.
Why not?
Yep,
I'm
let's do
not
it.
against it.
Yeah.
I'm really, truly not. I mean, the Buccaneers are doing it as well, bringing in Tom Brady. They're just like, whatever.
It seems to be a good thing for people.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. And I love that you said that, and we didn't even talk about that. When we're on the same page.
We
This
didn't,
is
yeah.
this is an incredible episode. We're just on the same page for the most part. So yeah, I think the reward is worth their money risk. Is he going to be flashy? Probably not, but I think he could be a depth guy and a guy that you trust to do your job and makes everybody around him better. Jaron Curse, safety from Minnesota for 1 year, 2.75, and Miles Killebrew they re-signed for 1 year, $2 million. Both are good special team guys, but nothing to get too excited about. Cornerback Tony McRae, he was undrafted out of North Carolina in A&T. Is that the same school? I don't even know. In 2016, McRae has spent time with 4 teams, most recently with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's 5'10", 185 pound, appeared in all 16 games for the Bengals last season, including 2 starts. So I got a quote from Justin Rogers here out of the Detroit News. It's likely the addition. All right, so I'm just gonna read. It's likely the addition got the stamp of approval from Lions special teams coordinator Braden Combs, who served as the assistant special teams coordinator in Cincinnati a year ago. Again, that's from Justin Rogers from the Detroit News. I like that. Like, don't know anything about this guy, but I like the fact that that's just a great point, I think, because he's going to be another special teams type guy. That very important, a depth guy as well.
It's a body, yeah.
But when you're bringing in a coach that, like, I think coaches know what they're doing for the most part. I trust them. And if you're bringing in someone you trust in this type of win now scenario, like, I'm 100% game with that. Another one, Lions traded for Patriots, another Patriot, safety Duron Harmon.
Good.
Detroit gives up a 5th round pick, 172 overall for Harmon, and a 7th round pick for 250, 35th overall, who has a $5.5 million cap hit. The 28-year-old is going into his 8th season, all with the Patriots, and has only missed 1 game in his career. 8 starts last year with 5 pass deflections and 2 interceptions. I just think it's a perfect depth guy, basically. He's played behind some very good corners on a very good defense with the Patriots. So, I mean, they're betting on this guy developing.
He's a
And
proven talent.
He's been proven, and he it wasn't a step back when he had to fill in, and he's taken enough snaps to know that he's legit.
Patriots have been they were the number 1 overall rated defense last season, and I'm assuming, like, just from memory, the last few years they've been one of the top defenses every single year.
Yeah.
And this guy was a part of all of those teams. That makes me feel good. These are the guys we need to bring in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think he's the perfect guy to come in and challenge a Warrior.
Yep.
For the starting position, or just
for safety.
Sorry.
So Warrior will be the cornerback or kind of a backup cornerback. He was the rookie
right.
last year.
Yep, my opinion. My bad.
But safety was one of our biggest issues last season because we have a really good safety, Tracy Walker.
Yes.
Very, very good safety. But he cannot do it by himself. And the second safety that we had for the entire season after we got rid of who did we trade away? Quandre Diggs. After we got rid of Diggs, Tracy Walker was all by himself. And and when he got hurt, our safeties were the worst in football. So these kind of I like seeing Lions moving, getting some safeties, getting depth of that position because that impacts the team. That's a huge impact to this team in the defensive backfield.
For sure.